conversation with my daughter via text. And it's one of those videos, conversations, texts that is so eye-opening that I had to share. So, but I'm also confirming that I'm still, I think it's pausing it. All right, I'm not sure if I can look at the text while I'm videoing this. So I'm just gonna do my best to say it from memory. My daughter is an artist. She's 15 years old. And I have been watching her draw and color since she was 1 year old. In addition to this, so it's been 14 years of watching this girl draw and color. And every Christmas and every birthday, she always asked for the same thing. What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for your birthday? I got to the point where we stopped asking. Canvas, paints, crayons, markers, colored pencils. Then one year it was an easel. Another year it was a large desk that she could lay out all of her papers on. So when I say, I saw this coming, I mean, I saw this coming. So a year ago, my daughter has the moment, the epiphany, where she goes, I'm an artist. I want to be an artist. She didn't say, I am an artist. She said, I want to be an artist. And she settled on it. Well, around the time I was getting ready to move her to New York City, knowing where this was going to go. And I'm like, I got an artist. There's only one place, two places in the world I can put her that'll help her. Paris, three places, Italy, Paris, or New York City. So I get my daughter to New York City. We're going through the school program, we're enrolling her, and this is foreign to me, by the way. This is not something they do upstate. This is very strictly New York City only that I've ever seen. I don't know if they do it in LA. I don't know if they do it elsewhere. All I know is they don't do it in the public school system in the rest of New York State. But when you get to New York City, this is what they give you. So they ask, what do you want to do when you grow up? And my daughter blurted right out, an artist. And they said, okay, we have the visual arts program, which means, if you're from upstate, this is what that means. In upstate schools, in low budget schools, you get one art class, maybe it's elective, and you only get it 2 times a week, maybe 3. In New York City, going into an art program means you are drawing every day. It's not that they lower the importance of math, geometry, English, and science. It's that they increase and put a spotlight on art so that art suddenly becomes as important as math and English. It's beautiful. It's absolutely how education should be. So I'm watching my daughter, and she's crying every night about how she can't draw something. And then I watch her overcome it, and she does. And she does it well. And then she's like, I can't do this. And then she has ADHD, by the way, so she's got that constantly like, oh, in her brain. So I watch her throw her emotions out. Literally regurgitate them, and they all come out, and she gets it all out, and then she clears her mind and she focuses. And that's how my daughter is, every time to a T. So I have learned to weather out her breakdowns. I comfort her, I hug her, I get her through them. And then the next morning she's figured out her own problem. And I've learned, this is my parenting advice, I have learned that is really what parenting is about. You are supposed to keep your mouth shut, mom and dad. Silently hug that child and be the anchor in their storm. 3 children, 20 years of mothering. That is my advice. Keep your mouth shut. Listen, don't talk. I'm going to say that part again. Parents, listen, don't talk. Your child will figure it out, but you keep your mouth shut. And your job is to stand there, steadfast, Look up the word steadfast if you don't know what it means, because it's really important. And if you do know what it means, look it up, because it's really important that you get this word. Stand, silent, steadfast. And when that child goes through her difficult times, his or her difficult times, you hug them. Because we all know it. Growing up is fucking hard. And I don't know anyone who would ever take money to go back and do it again, because it was that horrible and hard to get through. And now your kids have to endure it. So keep your mouth shut. Keep your foot grounded. Stay steadfast. And you fucking hug the hell out of those kids when they have to go through their storms. That is my parenting advice. So, back to my story. And I love telling stories. This is what I do. So my daughter's talking about how she's going to get a treat today because it's the day before Christmas Eve and she's excited. It's her first Christmas in New York City. And she goes to the school and her teacher's giving her her art back. And she hands her this, what I think is paper. My daughter says, oh my God, she gave me a folder. It's huge. Okay, what is it? And she's going on. It's like half the size of the table. It's huge. I thought she was going to give me a manila folder. And I'm thinking, manila folder? So she's given her a giant piece of construction paper. And then she goes, it's leather. Oh, Lizzie. And I said, honey, that is a real portfolio. She has given you a real art portfolio. She's like, oh my God, it's huge. What am I going to do with this? Lizzie, congratulations. She just gave you your wand. And she laughed. She goes, oh. And she goes, what does that mean? And I said, you are officially an artist. You have found your first name. Congratulations. And she goes, huh? Which is 15-year-old talk for, please don't bore me, Mom, but I'm confused and I'm going to use some of my inquisition and curiosity enough to ask you to explain in 3 letters. Huh? So I said, and this is the whole reason why I started this video live. This is it. I said to her, when you are born, you are given your name. And we spend our lives trying to find ourselves. That's our self with a capital S. And the more you find yourself, the more you know who you are, the more you recover your identity, and the more names you have. Likewise, there are people who walk around this earth lost, and they don't know their names. They don't know who they are. They don't know the self. And they turn 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, and they only ever know the given name their mother and father gave them, and all the labels their abusers gave to them. And that is what is in a name. $400 years ago, 500 years ago now, Shakespeare was onto something. What is a name? A name is your identity. It's who we are. And the more you know yourself, the more names you find. When I started my journey 2 years ago, I was just one name, and it was a name I hated because of everything it represented. So I set out on a journey to find my names. And that is what I have been doing since 2015. Well, in 2015, I started healing enough so I could go find my names. But in 2020, the year of COVID, the year of the COVID, I see us saying things like BC and AC, before COVID and after COVID. I see this being a thing in the future. This is our calendar year. Ah, yes, that was BC. That was before the awakening happened. That's what's been going on. The awakening. By the way, I am high as fuck. This is me on weed. I become stupidly philosophical. I should just do this from now on. I should just go live, take weed, and then talk philosophy. Because this is when my brain lights up and it's awesome. In fact, 3 totes in, that's when I realized the name is who we are. It's our identity. So, going back to my story, because I really love stories. What was I saying? Shakespeare. Right, the year of the awakening. AC and BC. After COVID and before COVID. And during COVID, it was 2 to 3 years of the awakening, where we all realized there's still racism out there, for those of you who didn't know. And there's still misogyny out there, and it's not being kept in check. Newsflash, for those of you who don't know. And we are really fucking ugly as human beings. And in case you don't know that, turn the news on for 5 minutes. So then there's like this whole massive amount of group of people. They've been known in the past as hippies, Woodstock goers, the burners, feelers. I call them Fae touched. At the end of the day, these people are nonconformists. Yeah, I'm totally going politics with this. And the rest of the world are conformists. People who hang on to their culture, tradition, their religion. People who hang on to mommy and daddy's approval. Because at the end of the day, that's really what life is about, is having to choose between mommy and daddy's love, parental love, and self-love. And mommy and daddy taught us that if we don't throw away parts of ourselves that they don't like, they won't like us. So they forced us, like I said, silent and hug the child. Mom and dad need to keep their mouth shut. So mom and dad will sit there and say, you should be quiet right now. You should. If you're saying the word should, that's a red flag that you are gaslighting your child. If you use the word should, you are gaslighting. Just a minute, I'm putting it through my philosophical checks and balance system in my brain. Yeah. The word should is gaslighting, because when you use the word should, you are communicating to that person that their perception of reality is incorrect, because they should be doing something else other than what their heart tells them to do, other than what their brain tells them to do, other than what their experiences tell them to do. So the word should is gaslighting. Like I said, it's been the year of the COVID. The awakening has happened. AC, BC. We are now AC. It's time to wake up. So there you have it. The word should is gaslighting. So if you're using the word should, step back, look at yourself and go, oh my God, am I a narcissist? Because the number one characteristic of a narcissist is they gaslight. Awareness needs to come up, people. Like 1,000-fold. Start picking up the standards, because this can't continue. Take a look at the news for 5 minutes. This can't continue. And I am a firm believer that it starts with us. It starts with one person saying, I've had enough. This is bullshit. And I believe we can change the world. I know we can. I have full confidence. Do you know why I know we can? There's two things that tell me I know we can. First of all, creation is imagination. Everything that was created started off with someone imagining it. Ergo, if you imagine it, you create it. You know what else we created? Gods. We imagined them, so they exist. That's right. What if we, oh, this is so blasphemous, and I am so going to burn in hell in so many religions. What if we are the gods? And we have forgotten that. What if we are the gods, all of us, and we forgot? What if we have the power and we've been abusing it? What if we have substantial ability to create and we have been mean and we have been cruel and we have been evil? Well, wouldn't that create hell on earth? So I really need a lot of people to start believing that we have the power to create. The other reason why I believe that we can change the world is because the world that is now, we made it. So I'm calling out to every one of you. If we made this, a world where Putin is invading Ukraine and black men are being killed and women aren't allowed to have their own bodies, and misogyny is accepted and not viewed as a hate crime, and narcissists and conformists rule the world because they're scared, so they cling to their religions. If we can create a world where a sick fuck walks into a kindergarten room and kills toddlers, then why the fuck can't we create something better? See, we created this. I don't blame a devil. I'm an atheist. I don't blame, okay, I'm so not an atheist, but I don't want to get into that. See, I believe, and we've all been saying it, we're goddesses. Every one of us is a god and a goddess. Every one of us is a deity. And there's too many of us out there on massive power trips. What if we are all the gods? What if we are Q? And we forgot. If you don't know that reference, watch Star Trek, Next Generations. And there's a few of us who can feel the frequency and the energy. And if you've studied quantum physics, it's there. And HSPs can read the energy, can feel it. They don't know they can feel it. HSP is hypersensitive person. Google it. So yeah, maybe I'm starting a religion. Maybe I'm redefining the era by saying AC, BC, after COVID, before COVID, and the awakening has happened. Maybe I'm saying, I see a lot of things. I know how to fix the world. Oh, I know how to fix the world. The power of the word maybe is the most beautiful word because it opens doors. All change begins with humility, not awareness. Be humble. Really take in the word humility, and if you are a narcissist, if you use the word should, it's really time you look up the word humble and step into the emotion. I can teach you how. Wrap yourself around humility and make it become you. I can teach people how to do this. When you take in humility, you go to your knees because you are that humbled. And then you start educating yourself. It's ironic how you have to bow your head to read a book. Yeah, think about it. You cannot learn and be educated if you refuse humility. After you are humble, after you are humble enough to educate yourself, only then will you be handed awareness. Now you can make the change. Awareness is really a perception shift. I love perception shifts. I see the world through the eyes of omniscience. Omniscience? I can spell it. I can't say it right now. Omniscient. I always have. I can see the world from an umbrella view. And what I see is every one of us sitting on our own pillar, alone and isolated, and around us is reality. And I see every one of us on our solo pillar, only able, like the Matrix, to perceive and consume knowledge through our 5 senses only, that we absorb through a Rorschach print, a filter. What if we are looking through the world through a Rorschach print? What if every trauma, every religion, every lesson learned, every experience dropped a filter in front of our face? But that filter is a Rorschach print. So it distorts our perception of reality, which is truth. Truth is not what you believe. Truth is what is. Google it. Truth is not what you believe. Holy shit, or is it? If we're gods and we imagine, and through imagination we have creation, then truth is what we believe. And it is what is. Lesson learned. So, truth is what is, and truth is what we believe. So let's start believing that it's something better than what it really is. Please? Please? Now back to my Rorschach prints. What if all the way we see the world is through a Rorschach print? And what if you could look around the Rorschach print, or you could remove it? I know how to do this. Contact me. I can teach you. And that's what I have been doing with my life since 2015. That's not true. Oh, Anna, that is so not true. I started this when I was 15 years old. I was so abused, so neglected, and so alone that I wanted to find a way out. And I knew that if a psychologist or anyone tried to reach for me, I wouldn't be able to reach their hand. I knew if I wanted to get close enough to the psychologist so they could take my hand to help me, I knew I would have to do some of my own work. I knew I had to go to them. The problem is I lived inside of my mind. And I was so far deep inside my mind that I got very comfortable and very familiar with all the parts of the subconscious. I had to. I lived inside my mind to keep me safe. I developed multiple personality, PTSD, borderline personality disorder, all of these things in an attempt to keep me alive. Actually, mental illnesses are not illnesses at all. This is beautiful. Mental illnesses really is the ultimate form of self-love. It is a part of yourself, your id, saying, Anna, or whoever you are, I love you, and I'm going to keep you safe now because there's some really bad things happening out there to you. So we're going to keep you safe. I'm going to wrap you up in a blanket, put you into the deepest, darkest part of your subconscious so they can't find you. And then I'm going to teach you all the triggers and all the things you need to hear, feel, smell, and see so you'll know when they're coming. That's how much I love you. And I promise you, after this is over, I'm going to come and get you. But it didn't stop. And 10 years later, I was being raped and I was a sex slave for 6 months. And my brain wrapped another part of myself and tucked it so deep away next to that other part and said, a little longer, Anna, hold on. I will come for you one day. I will. I love you, but you gotta be safe here. And I developed a borderline personality disorder. Those are the tools my id gave to me to keep me safe. And it happened again on 9/11. It happened when I was 8 and grown men screamed at me and one of them put a gun on me. And my self loved me so much that she took so many parts of me and wrapped me up and put me down inside. So that in 2015, when I was 15 years old, in 1995, I wanted to get out. I just wanted to get out. So I started studying psychology, philosophy, and sociology. I just wanted out. And I believed that there was something better. I believed I could get out. I had to. And that's what kept me alive. I had to believe that there was someplace better. So I started studying. I was adamant that education and knowledge were the answers out. I went through the great books. I read as many of them as I could. I read every religious text that I could possibly get my hands on. And in 2020, after 9/11, I had no idea what I was. I was still studying. Too many Rorschach prints to even see who I was. And so, I was pregnant and married at 22. Only a few months, at 21, I'm sorry. A few months before I turned 22, and only a few months after 9/11. I was not ready for children. And I had children. And a husband. My husband was a narcissist. And he loved to gaslight and control. So, when I had one of my breakdowns, he would lock me up to try and control me. I don't remember it. My daughter does, that he hit me. And I had stopped studying. I thought I was out. I started writing instead. I started writing books. I found that writing allows me to... Writing siphons the pain out of you. That's why therapists say, you need to journal. And you go, oh, I don't want to. No. Writing siphons the pain out. Art siphons out the pain. This is really important, people. Don't go to drugs. Go to art. Van Gogh figured it out. That's why he painted. Okay, he also went to the bottle. But he also went to, think about it. So people, stop drinking, stop doing drugs, put down the goddamn Molly and meth and coke, and paint and draw and write and dance and do martial arts and skate. This is going to be imperative on getting through the healing. This is going to be so vital to your change. You have to do it, people. Put down the alcoholic bottle and paint instead. Because art siphons out the pain. So I wrote. I wrote a lot because I had a lot of pain. I wrote 4 books. I wrote Dolor and Shadow and Fire and Lies. Those are fantasy novels. And then I wrote Broken. Broken is my memoir, my autobiography. I wrote about all the pain and all the abuse I took. I wasn't done learning. I was processing it. I had studied psychology. Now I had to process it. So I wrote Broken. Without having any idea what was wrong with me, I wrote Broken. Read Broken. People read Broken and they write letters to me and say, someone understands me. Yeah, I understand you. I'm not alone. Now, here's how I got out. In 2015, I wrote Broken. 90,000 words in 2 weeks. When I was done, I put the book down, I stepped away, and I said to my husband, I need help. You don't go through the shit I went through and be okay. I stepped out of my bedroom, and that is the day I realized I was a shut-in, that I had not left my home in 20 years, that I had not left the bedroom upstairs in God knows how long. My infant children were grown, teenagers. My plants were all dead. I was in my head so much that I lost years. That's called dissociative identity disorder. That's the first lesson I learned. I went to the therapist. They diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder, multiple personality disorder, PTSD, suicidal ideation, and narcissistic abuse syndrome. Now that I had the names of all those beautiful tools myself gave to me, I was able to take the 20 years that I had studied psychology, sociology, and philosophy. And in only 5 years, I was able to pull it all apart. All of it apart. I took my cognitive behavioral therapy and I condensed that down to from 44 triggers in 2015 to 8. And I've chosen to live with those 8. My triggers is, get this, I have the best triggers. My triggers are non-consensual sex. So I've decided to keep this trigger. The patriarchy. I cannot live in the patriarchy. Cannot be anywhere near it. I'm actually allergic to it. I have decided to keep this trigger. Racism. Yeah, that's my trigger. Because the people who abused me were racist. I decided to keep this trigger. It should trigger me. Conformity. Religion. Having sex without love. I guess I'm only down to 6 from 44. A 9-to-5 job. 7. If I get a 9-to-5 job, I panic because my father was of the working class and I was forced to be in the working class when I'm an entrepreneur. I am a vegetarian. My parents didn't like that. That's what caused my multiple personality. A gun was pulled on me when I announced, when I came out of the closet at 8 years old, I'm a vegetarian and I stand for animal rights. Ooh, yeah, they didn't like that at all. So I split. Forgot everything before I was 8 years old except the Statue of Liberty. I don't know why that stood in my mind. I remembered the Statue of Liberty. That's the only memory I was allowed to keep before I was 8 years old. So maybe that's why I was so determined to get back to New York. It's the only thing I could remember. So, from 2020 to 2015, from 2015 to 2020, all I did was meditate, go to therapy, did yoga, did Tai Chi, and I gardened. I'm going to tell you the story about the garden. When I gardened, I was leaving therapy the first time, and I had so much anger. So much anger. I didn't know what to do with it. And I was told, well, no, I didn't tell. I studied, I knew that the stages of grief and the stages of change, not grief, they're change, stages of change, was anger. Anger is a huge part of healing. You have to go through anger in order to heal. You have to be angry. It is a tertiary emotion. It is so important to the healing process. You cannot heal without anger. And there's a lot of people out there who were taught that being angry upset other people, so you shouldn't be angry. Well, guess what? That is narcissistic abuse syndrome. Google it, and it's okay to be angry. But where do you put the anger? What if you're afraid of your anger? A lot of people are afraid of their anger. Well, what if I kill somebody? Because I feel like I have that power. So this is what I did. Aside from taking up bag work and exercise, great adrenaline burners, I also took up my spade. I had 18 raspberry bushes to plant in my backyard at that time. This is coincidence. And I said, I'm going to go garden. And I picked up a shovel, a spade actually, a little hand spade, and I went out to the earth and I stabbed it. I stabbed the earth while I screamed and I cried. And I stabbed the earth out of hate. I dug at the earth and I clawed at it and I screamed and I bled and I cried. For all the rapes, for all the people I love who hurt me, for why I had to be beaten by my brother to make my mother feel good about herself. How I had to be raped on 9/11 because someone felt insecure and scared. And I dug at that earth until there was nothing left in me. And no one got hurt except for a few night crawlers, night walkers. And when I was done, when I was exhausted and all the anger was gone and all that was left were my tears and my exhaustion, I picked up the raspberry bush and I dropped it into the earth. And then I did another. And then another. And I stepped back the first time and I looked. All my hate and my rage and my anger and my pain went into the ground. And now there's raspberries. I went to therapy the next week. I went to the nursery on the way home. I picked up roses. I love roses. And I went to my garden. And I dug. And I screamed and I stamped at the earth. And I bled and I cried. Until nothing was left. And then I dropped a rose in the ground. "50 roses, 3 pear trees, 170 black raspberry bushes, a cherry tree, a peach tree for 9/11. I wanted to. My husband said no. You know what? Fuck him. I'm buying property and I'm planting my 2 goddamn peach trees for 9/11. Now I have to own a house. And apple trees. And 20 lilac bushes. 3,000 bulbs. 400 plants. 8,000 houseplants. 9 gardens. 5 seasons. 5 planting seasons. And I finally got all of my pain and hurt out. And in its place was a meditative garden that attracted rabbits and 4 species of bees, and it became nesting ground for turtle doves and chickadees and tree sparrows and hummingbirds, snakes and frogs. It was my healing garden. It was my healing garden. And then COVID happened. In 2017, 2018, my then husband felt that 3 years into my mental healing was a good time to start using my body for IVF treatments and to have his children because mine weren't good enough. I went through 3 IVF cycles and narcissists. 3 IVF cycles and surgery so I could have his children again. This all required that I get off all of my mental medication, all of it, so I could accommodate what he wanted. I also had to subject myself to daily injections of progesterone, estrogen, and we are not talking small needles. We are not talking diabetic needles. Oh, there were those. And then there were the size 16s and size 11s that I had to inject into my ass every night for him. He was a narcissist. And in 2020, in August, when he realized he couldn't use my body for his children anymore, he said to me, and I quote, 13 years of marriage, 28 years of friendship, you know what? I need you to leave because I have to find a mother for my children. And you are too old and you cannot give me children because we've tried. So get your children and get out. I said, you are too filthy, disgusting, inhumane to deserve my tears. I said this, and I refused to cry for that garbage. And I said, fuck you, I'm going to New York City. So I picked up myself and I went to New York City because I had this voice screaming in my head, all of them, because multiple personality disorder. which I did not know yet that I had. I was diagnosed with it and didn't know what DID meant. I was focused on PTSD and I was focused on borderline. I was not focused on the multiples. And there's a rule in therapy that if somebody has multiple personality disorder and their multiples, their alters have not spoken up and said, hey, guess what, we're here, you say nothing. If the person is not aware, if the host is not aware of multiple personality disorder of the other alters, a therapist, no one can tell the host, by the way, you have multiple personality disorder. You have to wait for the alters. You have to wait for the host to figure it out. Because the host is always the protector. And the host is always the warrior to guard. So, all these voices that I didn't know were there in my head, because they were normal for me, screamed at me, go to New York, go to New York, go to New York, go to New York, go to New York. And I can't ignore that. All I remembered prior to 8 years old was Statue of Liberty, so I belong in New York. I'm like, yeah, fuck, I can go to New York. So I did. I began what I call 2-year sabbatical, or a walkabout. I did, I went on a walkabout. I backpacked through New York City. It was time. I had 5 years of applying the therapy, getting my PTSD under control. I was working on my borderline. I still was trying to figure out the narcissistic abuse syndrome. I knew there was other things wrong with me and I couldn't quite figure it out, but hell, New York had to happen. So the next stage of my healing, aside from the let's kick some serious ass, was the let's go find yourself stage. And this is really what it comes back to the very beginning of what I said regarding my daughter and her getting her wand and her finding her name. This was the moment where I said, it's time to find out who you are. And I did not know it then. I spent a year in Manhattan and I fucked over 60 men in that time because I needed to empower myself sexually and show myself that I controlled my sex, because after being a sex slave for 6 months and after being raped for 6 years and after being raped all over the fucking place, publicly and in buildings and in car theaters, everywhere, I needed to show myself that I controlled my sex again. I needed to show myself that I owned me. I needed to empower me. So I did. I went to New York and I showed myself 60 times over that I could have sex when I wanted, on my terms. And then I met someone. I met someone who looked right through me. And Juanito, I'm going to assume that you're watching this someday. Maybe right away, I don't know. So this is for you, if you ever watch this. Because now I'm talking to you, I'm not talking to the rest of the world. You looked at me in the sewers. You saw right through me. You saw the pieces of me that myself had wrapped up and planted. The parts of me that I didn't even know were there yet. That is who you saw when you found me. And you believed. And you pulled me out of it. That man, now I'm talking to the rest of the world, because I'm going to tell them what you did. That man, the first time he made love to me, laid me down and said to me, use my body to heal. And I did. I learned that sex doesn't have to hurt. I learned that I can have sex without bleeding. I learned that I have a voice. I learned who I was. He made me feel so safe that he made all of us feel safe. he made Anna feel safe. And he made Bergen feel safe. And he made Kala feel safe and Joanna. And every time he made one of them feel safe, they came out. And he saw Bergen. And he saw Colin come out. And Colin said to Bergen, it's time. And Colin wrote Juan a letter telling him, Anna has multiple personality disorder. She doesn't know it. We do. We have always known it. She's going to be scared. She's going to be terrified. She's okay now. And then Juan watched for the next 3 to 6 months every one of my personalities turn on and show themselves. And the deeper he got to me and the deeper he made me feel safe, the deeper we were able to go into our subconscious and recover and find them. And she said to me, I will find you. And by fucking God, she did. And he met Imagination, who thinks she's really a goddess. She really does. She believes she is the reincarnated goddess of Tara. And that's Imagination. He made me heal so well. He made all of us feel so safe that he was able to pull out the 8-year-old core who stutters. We didn't know what was going on with me. We thought I had multiple sclerosis. We went and got an MRI done. My brain is gorgeous. And that was surreal. To look at your brain on an MRI, knowing it was riddled with PTSD, borderline personality disorder, bipolar was brought up so many times, narcissistic abuse syndrome, multiple personality disorder, and I looked at my brain and I just went. According to the neurologist, she said it looked like a 20-year-old brain. It was insanely healthy and clean and clear for someone my age. Unusually so. But aside from that, she's like, your brain is beautiful. Your brain is... And I'm looking at it going, to look at it, you would not think that that is the brain of someone with trauma and dissociative identity disorder. It was amazing. No aneurysms, no anything. It was just, it was weird. And it was so weird. And it was like this, I think it would be the feeling if ever I went up to space in a spaceship and I looked down and I saw Earth and I saw how fragile she was. That's the feeling I think I got with, again, I see everything omniscient, where I'm looking at this beautiful, clean, healthy physical brain, and I got to see all and understand the depth of all the subconscious turmoil and trauma. And it really set apart the definition of subconscious mind and what it is. It is a perspective that will forever change me. So we're all sitting on these pillars in front of our Rorschach prints. And I'm telling people, that's not the reality. What you feel, what you sense is distorting what is real. And it's not gaslighting, because I'm not trying to deceive you. I'm trying to help you. That's the difference. That's the difference. So if you ever accuse your therapist of gaslighting you, be slow. Think about that. Because the motive is what matters. If somebody is gaslighting you, it's because they're trying to deceive you. They want you to believe them more than yourself so they can control you and keep themselves safe. It's not gaslighting if I have no motive other than just trying to help you. What you think is real is your emotions telling you what you should feel and think, because you have all of this programming in your mind that was put there by your id to keep you safe. You don't know how much you love you. So in September of 2022, my core emerged. Juan met her, I met her. And I realized integration is when you bring the multiple personalities together under one conscious mind. I will always be a multiple. However, I am now integrated. I tried integrating before and it did not go well because I did not integrate with my core. I just integrated with my multiples. It lasted 2 weeks and then it fell apart. No, I'm sorry, it lasted 4 weeks and then it fell apart. The second time, I included my core. And the beautiful thing about integration is when you integrate, all your memories unlock. So my amnesia went away. My everything from 8 years old and back that I couldn't remember, I remembered. And I remembered that I'm a vegetarian. I remembered that I am an animal rights activist. I remembered that I am a lesbian. That is what I remembered. And I remembered that when you tell a bunch of conformists where you stand on some of those issues, I remembered how badly they scared me and how badly they abused me because of it. And in October of 2022, my heart mended. I found my other names. I know who I am. So this is me telling all of you that I have these voices in my head still screaming at me, Anna, tell your story. People need to know. Tell your story, Anna. It's been 27 years that I've studied psychology. And I did it because I had to go 80% of the way through my own mind to get to their hands that were reaching me on the other side. And they were able to take my hand and give me a little bit more information and knowledge so I could apply the rest and get out. I got myself out of my own mind. And the people who are lost to comatose, to vegetable mental illness states, are the people who are so far down and lost in their subconscious that they don't know how to get out. And no therapist can get that deep inside to get them. I know the way through the subconscious mind. I lived there for 32 years and I got out. I had to learn every layer of subconscious. I had to memorize every corner, every nook and cranny. I had to learn it all. I had to master it just so I could get out. And then I'm writing a book, I'm packaging it, and I'm giving it to people. Well, I'm selling it to people because I'm a Taurus and hey, why not monetize this? And I'm going to be doing lectures and I'm going to be providing it to the people and saying, look, this is the roadmap to the subconscious. This is how to get out. This is how to find your way where you need. This is how to manage and work as a team with the rest of your mind. Because the conscious mind is the part in the front that we all see. The conscious mind. The subconscious mind is really what runs the show. And the subconscious mind is sitting in the back, turned on, blaring, running and operating your system. And you, my dear friend, are just a puppet. That's why we do things impulsively. That's why we do things that we don't understand. That's why we do things and we go, why did I do that? Why did I marry him? What was I thinking? Because the subconscious brain was running the show. And you are just its little puppet. But what if, my magic words, what if we take what we know consciously and I teach you how to start talking to the subconscious mind and learning its language, because it speaks of a language of its own. What if I start communicating it and we teach it and we learn to work as a team so that all the parts of your subconscious are no longer puppeting you, the conscious mind. Instead, you're working as a team. And when you work as a team, everything calms down. Because we're all in control. Everything calms down. This is Operation Imagination. This is the roadmap to the subconscious. I am inviting you all to step into my healing garden. I am dying to find all of your names